also, Andy was meeting lots of people. Everybody was together. It was a crazy time because you had sort of pickpockets, drag queens, rent boys, you know, gangsters,
junkies,
film stars, junkies, all together. It was like a madness.
Talking about my friends.
Your friends. I mean, in Max's Kansas City, which is one of these places in the late 60s, you had Robert Kennedy in the back room, along with all these weird people. So it was a crazy place, but crazy places like that, where people can live for virtually nothing, tend to be very, very creative.
And Andy also provided food and for a lot of them, because a lot of them didn't have money between hustling and turning over.
So I'm going to tell you a story which, before Smutty does, but the reason Smutty got to Andy War's factory was nothing to do with culture, or art, or creative, or music. You were just bloody hungry, weren't you?
I was Hank Marvin. I was hungry.
And he heard about this new thing called a buffet.
Yeah.
Now,
which isn't very English, by the way.
Nobody knew what a buffet was, but he heard there was a buffet. I think you had to walk there, didn't you?
We
couldn't even afford to take the underground, could you?
No,
the subway.
Debbie, Harry, and Lee were good friends, and Debbie Harry broke in England, and as she broke, she had a loft on the Bowery across from CBGB's. So we arrived via Los Angeles, Texas, and Kentucky. Finally ended up in New York, opening for the Cramps. But we had no drummer, no equipment, and no set list, and no place to rehearse or live. And then so Debbie said to Lee, me and Chris are moving out, you guys can stay. So basically it was a big empty loft with futons on the floor and rat traps everywhere. There were big rats everywhere. And then one day Lee said to us, you know, well, we're going to meet a friend of mine named Andy. You have all have to dress up, put a bit of makeup on, and we said, can we take the train? He said, no, we don't have enough money. It was only 50 cents, but we literally had no money. But we knew the food was there.
I think we still got that money.
So we made sure we wore drapes where we could put plenty of sausage rolls and sandwiches in the pockets. So basically, we walked to the factory, and then we got up there, and we kind of demolished the food table in about 5 minutes, as in full Essex style. And then Andy kind of singled me out, and I was like, okay, who's this weird guy, following me around? There was a big stuffed Great Dane, and he was paint everywhere, and all these guys running around, and drag queens sitting there smoking weed, and it was just very bizarre. I was 17 and a half, I was just turning 18. And then Andy followed me around for a while, and then I was at the other end of the factory, and then he come up to me and he put his hand on me and he goes, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so cute. Are you a boy? Are you a girl? Are you straight? Are you gay? Are you bisexual? I said,
you said, I'm hungry.
I said, I'm hungry. I think I said, I'm trisexual. I'll try anything once.
No, it's a new
as long as it doesn't hurt.
It's a new gender.
It's a new gender.
New gender, hungry. Not he, she, it's just hungry.
It's hungry, so I was hungry. But then he said to me, I'd like to take a picture of you. Can you take your clothes off? And I thought, it's a bit, went back into sort of Essex boy Teddy mode and said, what? Do what? Fucking do what, mate? And he said, can you take your clothes off? And I said, all my clothes. And I could see my manager waving his arms, going, take your clothes off in the back. Fuck off. Take my clothes off. And then Andy was there looking right at me and had a little tiny Leica camera. And I said to him, well, what do you do? And he said, excuse me? I said, well, you want me to take my clothes off? I'm Smutty, I'm the bass player in rock acts. What do you do? And I could see my manager just like freaking out in the back. And he said, well, I'm a painter and I do shows and I manage a band, Velvet Underground, and I do movies. And I said, well, what are you going to give me? And he went, what? I said, well, if you want me to take my clothes off, what are you going to give me? And by then my manager was just freaking out completely. And then he said, what do you want? And I could have said a picture of it. I said, have you got any books? And then suddenly he flicked his fingers and some little minion came running in with a book and he signed it for me. And then on the way out, I remember my manager just going to me, Smutty, you're the only person probably fucking ever in the fucking history of the factory to say to Andy Warhol, what are you going to give me? And he said, that's why he's probably going to like you. Because I wasn't like, oh, Andy. I was just some 17-year-old Essex boy saying, who's this fucking Larry geezer that wants to get my kit off? We'll go sit back down anyway.
Well,
I'm sorry I'm losing my voice, I've got loud.
I'm just going to keep on the line.